Hello, everyone. Welcome to the UpRev Ninja Podcast. If this is your first time listening, thanks for joining us. This show is produced each week with the single intent of discovering the tips, tricks, hacks, and lessons learned from our guests that has catapulted them into living the best version of themselves. Join your host, Tom Hudson, as he continues his search for the best methods to UpRev his life. Now, let's dive into the show.
Today on the UpRev Ninja Podcast, I interview Andrea Aresse. Andrea is a new mom, blogger, and author with a go to empower moms. Her first book, a nonfiction introduction to the first year of motherhood, is currently out to beta readers. Hey, today on the UpRev Ninja Podcast, I've got Andrea Aresse. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's my brother-in-law's 40th birthday today, so we've got a big party planned this afternoon, and I'm supposed to dress up as a character for him.
Oh, what character?
The Grim Reaper.
Oh, nice.
Was not my idea, but so
happy birthday. Here you go.
So after the show, I'm actually going to put the outfit on, and the party starts shortly after this, and I'm going to go outside and dressed up, and so that's my day. That's what I've got planned.
That's awesome. No, it's good to have events like that to go to, and keeps life interesting. So
well, I've already read your bio out to my audience, but as I was talking to you just before the show got started, I would love for you to kind of just tell us, who you are and where you're at today in life and how you got there.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm Andrea. A few years ago, had my first child, and I've been loving it, but it's definitely changed me into a whole different person than I could have imagined I could become. I feel a lot stronger now, despite never knowing if my head is quite above water, but which is strange to say, but I've been able to find the strength in the struggles, and that's been really exciting for me, and it's been a different chapter for me. And I've been working kind of at sharing my story with others, I guess, to help them know that even though things can get very dark and very scary sometimes, there is that light at the end of the tunnel, and that you just have to keep working through it to get there. So I've been excited.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I think it's great. I mean, the proverbial cliche, we don't come with instruction books. And again, kind of the intent of the show is like, hey, what are other people struggling with? And, can I learn from them? So, I think it's great. I was actually, I checked out your blog, and it's so funny. My son just turned 17 recently, and I've got a stepdaughter just recently turned 13, and oh, wow. It's so, my son actually, he's got his wisdom teeth taken out, and I'm like, wow, man, that didn't happen to me until I was like 30. So.
Yeah. You're like, how were you old enough for this?
Exactly. Driving, he's got a job, college, and just all of these different things. So I guess just my advice to you is it goes by faster than you can imagine. So cherish every moment that you can.
Yes. And it's just like, I look at my daughter's 2 now, and I just look at her and I'm like, where did you go? Like, you used to fit so perfectly in my arms, and now you wiggle your way out all the time.
Well, get this. My 13-year-old, she's 5'10". She's taller than me and my wife. So,
and so you're like, wait a second, you're supposed to be looking up to me, not the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. And that happened over a course of about a year, maybe a year and a half. So, so it was just quick, so I just not ready for that. Well, so what got you into doing the blog that you've got? I mean, trying to share and everything, but was there something that just happened? Were you not able to find resources, or, I know reading your blog, you've got awesome passion, and I assume that's kind of where it came from, but.
I've always kind of used writing as my outlet for things. And that first year of motherhood, I had to deal with more than just becoming a new mom. Like I had my daughter, and then a few months went by and my husband was suddenly unemployed, and we were living off of the crumbs of my maternity leave pay, which, let me tell you, was not the most shining experience of my life. And then unfortunately, I lost my brother 6 months after I had my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And
Sorry.
and then my husband got relocated, so we got ripped from our home to give him that opportunity that he so deserved, and was so wonderful for him to be able to work in a field that he was truly passionate about and everything like that. But we had to move. We picked up our house and left after spending a couple months apart while he was getting set up here and I was still living there. So it was just a very, I mean, difficult doesn't sum up, like it's the word itself doesn't sum up how hard that year was. And it's just, for me, I was having difficulty coping. I couldn't function properly. I wasn't being the mom that I wanted to be. I wasn't being the wife I wanted to be. I just wasn't being the person that I wanted to be. And, you turn to other people to see experiences of how you got through it. And it's just, a lot of it was sugar coated, and a lot of it was like the frou-frou, like, you can do it, hang in there, like poster of a cat. And it's like, no, like, I want to know how to get through it. I want to know, like, that it's okay to be feeling these emotions, but how to properly deal with them and get my way through it. And I just wasn't finding those resources for myself. And so having writing has always been my outlet. I turned to that, and one day I got really pissed off because somebody came up to me in the mall and started judging me because my daughter had a soother. And it was just like the final, like, get out of my face.
Right.
And so I went home and I started writing, and just to release some anger that I was feeling. And it just kind of evolved from there into what I was calling a self-help book for myself. And then I got up the courage to share it with first my husband and then some of my friends. And they were all reading it like, you know what, this could actually turn into something. Like, maybe you should take this one step further and actually do something with it and share it. And so the blog kind of became as what came after writing the book, as my way of developing that platform so that I could get it out there.
Wow, that's great. I mean, what I love is, the struggle that you went through and how you turned it into this positive, and you still reached out to your friends and got the support. And I can't imagine, it sounds like they're in like a 6 to 8 month window, your life completely took a 180 from being pregnant to, okay, now I'm pregnant. Oh, my brother passed away. Oh, husband got laid off. Oh, we're being relocated. It's just like, wow, that's so much. Just like along that line, something being relocated, was it 10 kilometers away, or was it hundreds?
Oh no, we moved provinces.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was in Edmonton, and we shuffled our way to Vancouver.
So you don't, I assume you don't have like, family, relatives, or friends now either, or when you moved there, right? So you didn't have
I was very fortunate. We actually moved back. Like, I was born and raised in Vancouver. And then when I was 17, I moved to Edmonton to get my post-secondary degree and everything. And then met my husband, and we stayed there and developed our life and everything like that, and got my job out there, and I was happy. And then, so coming back, I at least had my family and a few of my childhood friends.
Okay.
So I wasn't like completely on my own, thank goodness. But also, like, there's that whole, like, 10 years had gone by. Yeah. And, the friends that I had, well, they're still my friends and I adore them. And, I know if I needed them, they would drop everything for me. And like, just those wonderful friendships that, but they're still different now. And
Totally.
it's like,
Yeah.
because I'm different and they're different and I have a kid and they didn't have kids. And, there's just that there's an understanding that you try to have with all of your friends, but until you live certain aspects, you can't fully understand it. So I was still feeling alone in that sense, that like I couldn't quite have that connection. Whereas in Edmonton, I had that connection with my friends, because one of my friends, actually, we got pregnant very close together and our daughters are 2 weeks apart.
Wow.
And so it's like, I went from having that like instant, somebody gets me like completely where we're at the same time, to, oh, you have a kid? That's cool. Like, but are you going to come out with us tonight?
Right.
Because that would be great.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So it was, I did have that system, but it was a different system in the compared to what I was used to. So,
well, again, you've taken this and you've turned it into what you have today, and that's great. So, and it's good that you moved back to have, some friends, and I absolutely get that. I moved away from my hometown and I was only gone for like 3 years. And those 3 years, I mean, it was, when you're 19, and then you move back at 22, 3 years is a huge difference at that point in life,
Sure.
So, yeah, I do get that. And it's difficult to kind of reconnect, and people have, grown and changed, and families and everything else. So,
and just life, like people have more responsibilities now. It's not the hey, let's go to a movie on a Wednesday night,
Right. Yeah.
You got to plan.
I know. And it's, that's so sad. It's, yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but yeah, totally.
But just everybody you don't have to say anymore, because it's just like, yeah,
we get
life.
it. Well, so, going back before this started, and even, through this challenge, was there something that I heard anger, in there, you mentioned that, but was there something that kind of was holding you back from, shifting gears and, putting this, book and blog together and, moving to that next step and, becoming the mother and the wife that you wanted to be, that you saw back then?
You know what? It's like with me, it always comes back to those insecurities, right? Like It's just that not having necessarily the confidence to having that desire, but not having the confidence to go and actually achieve that. Because what if I fail, right? Like there's always that fear of failure. And I like to plan things. Like when I was 15, I came up with a 30-year plan for my life of where I wanted to be at what step and everything like that. And then I really just needed to start embracing that change and to accept that where I was at and to stop planning so much, because plans change. So, and then to just go from there and really just start doing. And, everything that I do, for somebody else, I'll give 110% any day of the week. But for myself, maybe I'll give myself 90%, because it's like that self-preservation of like, if I never actually put myself fully out there, like if it's always a work in progress, then I never have to take that next step of putting myself out there and risking that failure. But that in itself is a failure.
It is.
But it's just I guess a more comfortable failure, because it's an internal versus that putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to that criticism. And especially as a new mom, you get so much criticism for everything that you do, that it's like, did I really want to put myself out there for one more thing?
Right.
But eventually it's just kind of taking control and deciding that, you know what, if this was cathartic for me, this is what is helping me. And if somebody else, even one other person gets help or feels like they're not alone, then why not? And it was just at the end of the day, why not? And so I started up with the blog and I started focusing a little bit more and putting myself out there. And I've been happy with what I've gotten out of it, and I've been excited about different avenues that it's taken me in. So yeah, it's just, I know, so cliche, but it's just
No.
like that, you really have to find something that excites you more than the fear scares you, and just going from there. So
Well, no, and I think you stated something I state often in my work, this podcast, and family and everything. If I do one thing that can positively impact another person's life, then I feel like my mission's accomplished. Obviously, I'm not going to stop at that point. But that was my whole goal with this podcast. I mean, honestly, this goal was about me. Like, this is the way I learn. I couldn't find a podcast out there that had stories from people like this and kind of took their lessons learned from life and stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, I'm doing this for myself, and I'll put it out there for the world. And if there's someone else that learns like I do, kudos to them. So
yeah. Well, and like, it's great for you because like at the end of the day, you're just, if nothing else, it's helping you, right? Like you're getting out of it what you want, and that your own happiness. Yes, you care about others, but you have to care about your own happiness too, and you can't, keep going down different paths if you're not going to be happy. So it's great that you found something that you're excited and passionate about, and that you're taking that step to do it. So,
well, Andrea, how has this impacted your relationship, just with your friends, family, and your husband? Now that it sounds like you kind of took the reins after that one day that the other parent, or maybe not even a parent. I mean, that's a misnomer right there. The other person said, your kid shouldn't be in this. And you've taken the reins and you've turned this around. How's that impacted the other relationships in your life?
Well, probably the biggest one is with my husband because, that year was very difficult, and we lost a bit of our spark and our connection because we were both holding things in and not communicating it. And, I was walking around with a dark cloud over my head, and I didn't necessarily realize at the time how dark it had become. But and then every time he would try to talk to me about it, I just bite his head off and snap. And so it was just, once I found a tool that would help me work through some stuff, then I was able to open up with him, and we were able to get back that spark and that communication, which is amazing, because as much as I knew I wasn't alone, I felt alone. And so it was really great to be be reminded that no, there are supports out there, and there are people that care about you, but you just need to kind of be receptive to it. And the blog is great because I don't necessarily, even now, I don't necessarily talk to everybody about it all the time, but I write it down. And so if they're wondering what's going on with me, she just seems a little bit off today or something, it's they can go and be like, oh no, this explains, or this is so it's nice because I'm communicating it, but I don't have to look somebody in the eye necessarily and talk about those feelings all the time. They're just out there, and they can do with it what they will.
So no, and it's funny. I feel it's difficult for me to sit down and have a conversation eye to eye, because sometimes I stumble upon what words to use, and they come out incorrect, or it's hard for me to process when I'm thinking, I guess. But if I sit down and journal, I feel like I get it out, and then if I do that a couple of days, then I can talk about it. And it's like, I don't know if it's confidence or, I think it's just, sitting down and processing. It's hard for me to do that on the fly. So
yeah, and working through it and giving yourself that chance to work through it and get to that point first. Because I don't know about you, but some conversations, if I haven't really worked through it. It just comes out in like word vomit, and you're like, what is happening? Like, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then back like in 2006, like, and it's like, where did that come from? Like it just spews out, and it's not coherent. It has nothing to do with anything, and
right.
And then it sometimes makes it worse. Right?
Absolutely, yeah, and we've all been there. So
yeah,
it's just like, okay, how can we not do that again? I haven't figured that out either. So. Well, so it does sound like writing is kind of like your the what works for you. Are there other practices that you do that kind of help you process your thoughts or feelings, or to build that confidence? And
this is probably gonna make me sound horrible, but I really sometimes you just need to punch something. Like when you get in like that mindset, and physical activity is just people say like, okay, like you're like, yes, we know the health benefits and stuff like that, but there's such a mental effect that it has on you. So like we have a punching bag here, and so we'll go and I'll just punch the bag and kick the bag and do like a really good kickboxing workout sometimes. I just need to get through something, and like not all the time. I'm not like an aggressive person, but
no,
it's like sometimes you have that anger, and sometimes it's misplaced, or sometimes you just need to just let it out and just punch a punching bag. Not a human. No, don't condone violence, but punching bag is, I'm all for it. So.
And I get that. I mean, up until a year ago, I had a punching bag, so I totally get it. I grew up doing martial arts, and for 25 years I did martial arts, and now I do CrossFit, so people would think nice. I'm probably crazier than you and some people, but that said, I my wife and friends, they can tell when I miss going to the gym. Like if I don't go to the gym for a few days, or I usually only go 3, maybe 4 days a week, but if I miss a week, people can tell I'm on edge. And it's not even about taking out that anger for me. It's almost more of and I meditate. So it's almost, when I go do CrossFit, it's like 30 to 40 minutes of, I cannot think about anything else except what I'm doing right then and there at the gym. So it just removes me from everything that's going on, and I come out with so much more clarity. So,
which is so good, and it's you need to have those outlets somehow, right? And it's like my husband and I will go for runs together and everything, and sometimes we don't talk, or sometimes we do, and it's more of a light jog so that we can both talk at the same time.
That would be walking, but I get that.
But it's I was trying to give us a little bit of like, they jog, but no, it's a walk. It's just that physical piece is so important and does go hand in hand with your mental piece, right? And it's just, you need to have energy built up in your body, and if you're not constantly releasing it, then it all just goes to your thoughts, and you can spin very quickly.
Oh, I know.
The more energy you have for it, right? So.
Yeah. And I often tell people I'm not the creative type, yet the stories I can concoct in my head within a few seconds are, I don't know, some of the best horror films are, out there. So
totally.
Well, what about books or blogs or anything that's kind of influenced you? That's maybe has helped you along the way.
Well, like there's a book out there called Shitty Mom.
Okay.
It's just like a real life perspective. It's four moms that wrote it, and they just kind of took some of that frou-frou out of motherhood, and they're like, no, it's okay if you're taking a break once in a while. Like you need to to do what's best for you, and your mental health is important. And yeah, you want your child's needs to be fulfilled, but like you can't do that fully if your needs aren't fulfilled either. So it's like, if you need that coffee break, take the coffee break, or, you know, do things like that, that you're not, and everybody's going to have an opinion. And it's just the at the end of the day, trusting your gut and doing what's best for you. So I appreciated that real talk kind of book. And then there are some local blogs that I like, and I've connected with some people. And actually, one of the great things is that I'm on this Facebook moms group.
Okay.
And it can get catty sometimes, because it's a internet forum. So of course people will come out of the woodwork with opinions that, and not necessarily realize, like, not the place for it right now in this thread. But overall, it's just a really nice community of women supporting women. And if you do have a question about what's going on in your day, or you are feeling like a crappy mom or this or that, you can go on and you can kind of let those feelings out. And the majority of the time you're actually met with some pretty positive feedback of people saying, like, I've been there, like, this is how I handled it, or no advice for you, but just letting you, like, sending you a big hug or something, to just like empower the person that's really struggling in the moment, and to let them know that they're not alone. So I definitely would recommend, like, to try and find something in your community like that, so that you can you might be able to meet up with some of them, or you just might decide to be that faceless person in the background, just like afraid to post, but then something pops up that shows you that, yeah, okay, they're feeling it too. It's not just me.
Right.
So,
well, yeah. I think, we live in this photoshopped world now, right? It's not just it's not just the pictures that we see on magazines and on TV, but it's also like Facebook feed. Everything's positive. Everything's going awesome in my life. Yeah, it's just, so everything's photoshopped. Everything is hyper positive. So I think, and parents, I do believe, have a very difficult time, because we have this image that we have to be, perfectionist. And the moment that we, not just perfectionist, but we have to be there for our child. And the first time I want to say, yeah, I just want 5 seconds, can I take a bubble bath, or can I get a coffee? There's so much guilt that comes with that, I think. And it's so unrealistic. But then again, you put that out there, and someone's going to say, "Oh my God, you're being a horrible parent. Your kid's going to turn out to be a criminal," and you're like, "Oh,
yeah." And you're like, "Well, I guess I can't ever do anything." Like, it's just like, and it's really unfair, because it's like, everybody's just doing the best they can. Nobody knows what they're doing.
No.
They're just like kind of feeling it out, and they're doing the best with what their education is, right? Like,
right.
So some people go out and read like 10,000 blogs about like feeding habits, and then it's like, oh, well, then this I have to do. But it's like, you know what? You know how to feed yourself. You know how to feed your child, right? Like, just do what works for you, and it's what works for someone else isn't gonna work for you. Just like we tell adults that.
Right.
So so why are we grouping kids all in one bubble when adults know that that's not realistic for themselves?
Yeah.
But so it's definitely, and I totally agree with you about the pictures and stuff, because like, I don't know about you, but for me to get a good picture of my kid, it's like I have 100 leading up to that one.
Yeah.
And so, but everybody does. And it's like, you don't see the tantrums that happened before the picture was taken. You just see the little angelic cherub in the picture that's just...
And we all know better.
we do, but then we don't at the same time.
I know.
And we internalize it, and we're like, oh, like, why isn't that what my life looks like? like I love Instagram, but it makes me feel awful sometimes. I'm like, oh, look at that child nicely playing in their organized space and this and that. And then I look around mine and I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Did
what
not
happened?
right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it is the reality of the society that we're living in, right? And
Right.
it's just that we do need to have more reminders that no, that is a snapshot. It's not necessarily a reality.
Yeah, and not only that, people don't. Well, I would say a majority of people don't. Let's see, they're not vulnerable, right? So, a lot of people won't go on Facebook and say, yeah, I had an argument with my spouse today, X, Y, and Z, because, first off, they have this fear about being vulnerable. Second, I think society itself, is like, ooh, that's TMI, like, too much information. I don't need to see that negative stuff when I wake up on my phone. I only want to see the happy, fun world that everyone posts. So it's almost... It's especially with social media, it's first off, you already have this guilt, and now you can't even share it because the world does, societal conditioning is kind of telling us not to do that. So, and
you don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable,
right? So it's just like catch 22 upon catch 22.
Yeah.
Well, so let's get rid of social media and we'll resolve all of our problems. But so what habits, personal habits do you have that you feel contribute to your everyday growth?
So, okay. I don't know if you've seen this video, but there's it came out a few years ago, and it was this little girl standing in the mirror, and she was so excited to just be like, I love my house, I love my life. Like, she was just giving herself positive affirmations in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I do that.
Awesome. That's great.
Like, if I'm feeling like I'm low or in a bit of a funk and I'm not sure why, I'll go to the bathroom and I'll just stand in the mirror and be like, you know what? You've got this. And it's like, you're focusing on something that is so trivial right now when we can be focusing on this, and this. And I'll take that minute to go and just have a breath and just reconnect with a more positive perspective, and then I'll go out and then I'll continue to have my day. And then that doesn't always work, but a lot of the times, especially if you're dealing with a little tantrum, and a child who is not listening to any form of reason, which is a lot of my day.
Yeah, it's common.
Yeah, it's definitely you do need to just take a breath and chill out and just be like, you've got this, and tell yourself you've got this, and believe that you've got it, and then deal with it. And then when that doesn't work, I do go for the runs and everything to just kind of center myself and work through some stuff, because it is a great time for you to just be reflecting and things like that. And I love a bubble bath, I'm not gonna lie.
Totally.
So it's just sometimes you do need to focus on that self-care and know that you're not a selfish person for taking the half an hour to go and have a good soak. So,
right. No, and I think the whole standing in the mirror and positive affirmations, even if it doesn't instantly cheer you up, the thing is you're no longer walking down that path of negativity, right? You've started a change. Yeah, it might not happen instantly, but you've already shifted and you're starting to go in the other direction. And the fact that you realized it. I mean, for me personally, that took me years to even realize when I was in a funk. I would just be pissy and I wouldn't even, people are like, what's wrong? I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong? I wouldn't even know I felt like I was in a bad mood. So just the fact that you can, have that self-actualization and like, oh, hey, I'm upset. I need to just take a 5-second breather and try to, get going in the other direction. So
that's taken some time.
No, I know. Yeah. It's so funny. I mean, like, why do they not teach this to us when we're in school instead of how to learn how to, I don't know. I don't know.
Like just how to be more self-aware, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's so it's not easy, and it's so that you don't always feel like there's the time for it because you're so overloaded all the time.
Right.
But it's just for me, I needed to do something because my psyche was not in a good place, and I just needed to start finding ways to get better, right? And just find that more positive side. And really, you feel like a buffoon when you're doing it.
Yep.
But then you're able to laugh at yourself too. And how many people don't laugh at themselves anymore? Yeah. Like the older you get, like, do you find that the older you get, people are like, no, I need to be reserved and stoic and this and that. And it's like, no, like just be the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, totally. Right. Yeah. And I think it's funny, like, and then some shift happens. Yeah. I completely agree with you, but in my experience, there's some shift that happens too, like a retirement age. They're like, I just don't care what people think anymore, Yeah. And you're like, wow, I hope it doesn't take me until I'm 60 or whatever to do that. I want that now. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, and that's why, like, a lot of the time I'm just like, my mantra is actually like, who cares?
Yes.
It's like, about like anything. It's like if I'm being silly at the park or something and playing a game and, people are looking at me like, what are you doing? It's like, who cares? I'm enjoying my kid. Totally. Or like, when you do see it blow up about the opinions that people have about how you should raise your kids and stuff, it's like, who cares? Is it really affecting you?
Right.
It's like they're doing what they think is best for their kid. They're not harming them, despite what you think. Like, like the whole breastfed over formula debate all the time. And it's like, you know what? You don't know their story. So just like, why are you caring? Why are you putting so much of your time and energy into that? Like, I don't know about you, but my energy is pretty zapped at the end of the day, just worrying about myself and my kid and my family. But it's like, why am I going to worry about someone else? Like, I don't, who has time for that? So
yeah, years ago I heard this. It's more, thinking in a positive mindset, and I've shared it with my wife and so many other people. I probably heard this 5 to 7 years ago, and it's like, imagine you're driving down the highway and someone's coming up on your tail really fast and they swerve around you and, they're kind of driving recklessly. Most people would like get angry, irate, do the middle finger to the guy that's driving, whatever, because we have that, we're like, they're a jerk. Well, what if he's got his pregnant wife in the back seat and he's trying to rush her to the hospital? Mm-hmm. We never, like, our mind immediately goes to the negative, but if you can just flip it to like, ooh, maybe there's an emergency and he's driving erratically, but if maybe it's a good intention, and if you change that, you're like, oh, okay. And you just feel the pressure melt away, or the fear and anxiety and all that. So,
and giving the benefit of the doubt to people, right? Like,
yeah.
Like people are assholes, but not everybody's an asshole.
Right, totally.
So it's just like, why don't you focus on the good interactions that you had in a day instead of like the one maybe negative thing about it. And maybe, and you don't know their story. You don't know what happened. No. And you don't know why they're driving like a maniac. Maybe they're just, that's how they drive, but maybe there's more to the story. Right. So it's like, maybe their kid is sick at daycare and they're worried about them and quickly trying to get to them. Right. Like you don't know. And I do think everybody needs to be safe on the road, but it's things happen, right?
They do.
Yeah. And I love that though. Cause it's that whole, you need to stop going to the negative all the time.
Right. Right.
And it's the easiest place to go,
Yeah.
but you need to stop, because it's not doing anybody any favors, and it's really not helping you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, we've never become the perfect cherub that we want to be, sadly. But what is it in your life right now that you're working on trying to improve?
I guess it is that whole being more present in what I'm doing. Like I get into the situation, I am happy to be in the situation, but it's just the I can go somewhere else in my brain and still be here physically, and I need to stop with all that going around and spinning and planning and doing all of that, and just really focusing on the now and focusing on what's right in front of me instead of the what if. And
Right.
because especially now, like I find now that I have the blog that I'm trying to promote and things like that, it's a lot of time on social media, which you don't necessarily realize. And it's like that time comes from somewhere.
Right.
And it's just I need to put down my phone, and I need to really be focusing on the moments that I'm having and living versus and actually watching them instead of watching them through the screen.
Right. Yeah.
It's such a knee-jerk reaction when my kid's doing something that I'm like, oh, I have to grab my phone and take the picture of it. But it's like, by the time I grab my phone, pull out the camera to try and take the picture of it, the moment's gone.
Right.
And so instead of just enjoying that, I ruined it.
Yeah. Sunsets are that way, and sunsets last a little bit longer, and the same thing happens. So
it's just like putting down that phone and just enjoying what's right in front of you, and really being present in what you're doing. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'll be happier and I'll have better memories because of it. But it's definitely not easy, because the phone is an addiction. Like, let's all be honest about that. A lot of people, it's the last thing they look at before going to bed and the first thing they look at in the morning. So I really just think
poor spouse.
Pardon?
I said the poor spouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's been so many studies on that. Like, just put the phone outside of the bedroom and don't even allow it in the bedroom.
Yeah, get an alarm clock.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just that's kind of the life we all live now. Hey, that we rely so much on that technology, and it's just remember when we were kids and that wasn't a thing?
Yeah, right.
You had to find other ways of entertaining yourself. Like, let's go back to that. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It was a much simpler time, and it wasn't that long ago. I mean, the iPhone just turned 10. So,
I know. I didn't get my first, I used my mom's cell phone in grade 12, I remember, and I didn't get my own until second year university. So,
yeah.
And even then it was like the flip phone.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this phone can take a picture. And it was
so grainy.
The worst quality picture.
Right.
But you were so excited about it, right?
Absolutely. And doing the T9 texting, right. Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, just kind of wrapping up. You've talked about your blog, and I'm going to have it in the show notes. But is there something that you're currently working on that you want to share with the audience or talk about just briefly?
Well, the other thing is that this all started because I wrote a book, and it's currently out to beta readers right now, and I'm hoping to have it published by the end of the year. So, if anybody out there is looking for maybe a little bit of a less frou-frou, a little more direct kind of, I've been calling it a self-help book for new moms, but it's like a survival guide for new moms. So if anybody's feeling like they're just kind of lost and having no idea where to go, you're not alone. And so, yeah, if you stay tuned and check out my book and hopefully the next couple of months.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Well, I don't know. I really enjoyed speaking with you today, Andrea. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to bring up before we close out?
No, I think we just kind of hit a couple big points, and I think that's great. So,
awesome.
But yeah, I mean, of course, just you're doing good. I guess.
No, you are too. No, yeah, totally. And thank you. And I really like the work that you're doing. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, what a journey Andrea takes us on throughout this episode. We go from her being on maternity leave to the passing of her brother to her husband losing his job. And then they uprooted their life to move to a new province because he found a new job that he was really excited about. So during all this, a lot of things are falling apart in Andrea's life, but she fell back to her strength and love of writing and journaling. And she ultimately did this privately, then opened it up to her family and friends, and they really thought she was on to something. So this story really kind of goes about how she took her strength and then she just let it out to the world. She became authentic and vulnerable with it. And this has really helped other people. It's helped her and, people in her life.
Thanks for listening to the UpRev Ninja podcast with your host, Tom Hudson. Navigate to our website at uprev.ninja today, where you will find additional resources to help you discover the best version of you. While you're there, join our newsletter and join the discussion on your favorite social media platforms. We've got some awesome guests lined up to share with us how they are becoming the best versions of themselves. Again, thank you for listening. Now it's time to go out and uprev your life.